All right. Hello, everybody. Give me just a second. I'm giving direction to my guest. Sorry about this, guys. Welcome, everybody. Give me a second here. Sorry about that. Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. It's Tasha on Tuesday. All right. Let me see here. Let me try to get her on here, guys. Whoops. I spelled that wrong. Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Okay, let's see here. All right, so hopefully I will get her on soon. Hello, everybody. I am Tasha Haskins, Mrs. Curvey Globe, and welcome to the weekly Mrs. Globe powered IGTV show called Choose You. And Choose You is that show that hopefully is going to inspire you to your life's crescendo, showing you how to choose you each and every day, every step of the way. So I'm incredibly excited to be here. I'm kind of excited to be shooting from my home element. I know the last couple of shows I was in the British Virgin Islands, and so those were pretty interesting. Hello there, Mrs. Moscow. Ooh, Russia. All right, my Linda. Hello, hello. I love it. I love it. It's so good to see you guys. My guest, I think I might have sent her the wrong link. So she's going to be coming soon. Oh, I see her right there. So Erin, make sure you click that button that says ask to join. Now that you're on there. So there should be something on to the right of your name that says ask to join, and you want to click that so that I can actually have you join a little bit later. So again, if you are just now joining, again, I am Tasha Haskins, and I am the weekly Tuesday show host for the Mrs. Globe powered IGTV show called Choose You. And again, Choose You is that show that's always hopefully going to inspire you to your life's crescendo, showing you how to choose you every day and every step of the way. So I also want to give some shout outs here. So of course, my beautiful makeup is courtesy of Queen's Allure. The owner is Vanessa Nickerson. She is amazing. She is definitely responsible for, hi Consuela. Ooh, yes, we got a good group on here today. And she is responsible for making me look beautiful 99% of the time. Also, you guys notice I have a new hairstyle here, right? Hey, I love my tribal braids. Thank you to Lucania Fashion Warehouse, the owner Lucy, for sponsoring my beautiful hairstyle as well as the actual hair and the braiding. She is amazing. They're located in Kent. And then as you see my lovely matching jewelry, this is paparazzi from Monique Bruner out of Oklahoma. So Monique, thank you, thank you, thank you. Good morning, Consuela. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for this beautiful piece. I think it looks pretty good, right? So I love it. Hi, Teresa. So Teresa, my sister queen, who is the reigning Mrs. Curvey Classique, representing those curvy or better, 45 or better ladies. So it's so good to see you. Erin, you said you're trying to get on. Okay, so let me invite you myself. I kind of had a similar... Why is it not... So I don't know. I've had a similar situation last week, and this is making me nervous because this happened last week where I wasn't able to actually allow people to come on. So give me a second here. I don't want to go through this again because this guest is amazing and it's super important. Hello, Oksana. Hey, look at you. I love it. I love everybody. I don't know what the difference is. Why all of a sudden I cannot. Last week I wasn't able to get my guest on, but I was able to let other people on. Hello, Katerina. I love it. My beautiful Curvey Russia friend and queen. It's so good to see you guys. I am working on getting my guest on, but again, if you guys are just now tuning in, you are watching Choose You. That's a Mrs. Globe IG powered show that is inspiring you to your life crescendo and choosing yourself every day. I think I see it. Hey, Miss Erin. Yay, it worked. Awesome, you guys. So my guest that's getting ready to pop on here, her name is Erin Jones, and she is a powerhouse. I don't really know any other way to describe her. She has been a part of actually, there she is. Hi, Erin. I'm getting ready
Hi.
to say how great and amazing you are. Um, and she has just been such a powerhouse, especially in the Great Northwest, and even nationally speaking. She has received the Champion of Change Award from the White House, the president. She has been such a trailblazer, of course, in the state of Washington. This woman also is a professional athlete. She has played basketball from the beginning of time, even into her 40s, representing the USA overseas. And she's just like, she's a rock star. So I'm incredibly excited to interview this beautiful woman that you guys see before you. So thank you, Ekaterina. I know you're probably like, I'm glad it worked. She's one of my Russian sisters, so I love it. So you're seeing, Erin, there are people from all over the globe that are on this network. So I'm really excited for you to pour into them. And it's amazing to see you. Like, you look so good. I love your new hair color and everything. I follow you. I just don't comment. I'm a secret stalker. So you look so great. How are you?
Thank you. I'm well. I'm well. And I see my mom is here too. So my mama's on.
I love it. My first show I hosted, I 100% did the hi mom. Like I feel like it's necessary. Like it's a thing that has to be done. So I love that. And you just look great and you look happy and you look vibrant. Not that you ever weren't, but I think it's amazing. And so I just want to like start digging deep with you already. You have, again, so many accolades and accomplishments, but I would love to hear, to your comfort, a little bit just about your testimony. I mean, I'm sure the Erin we see today, it hasn't always been the same Erin, right? And so there's challenges and hurdles, but we'd love to hear a little bit about that from you as we move forward with the interview.
Yeah, so I think the cool thing about my mom being on is if you all were to see her, she's she says she's 5'2". I think she's about 5 feet tall. So Tasha, you and I are tall people. She is
my mom adds inches too. She's like, I'm 5'7". I'm like, you're not.
But I'm almost 6 feet tall and she's 5'1", probably and a half. But she is my hero. And she's a little blonde lady. She and my dad adopted me out of the Children's Home Society in 1971.
Really?
And gave up everything in their lives for me. So they absolutely gave up so much to adopt little black babies and then left the country. So they left the United States in 1976 to raise me overseas, and sight unseen, had never left the United States before. I think maybe my mom had been to Canada, but they had never really left Minnesota, and took jobs teaching at the American School of The Hague in the Netherlands. And that's where I would go from orphanage, from abandoned kid in a hospital, to one of the best schools in the world. And the United Nations, it wasn't the United Nations school exactly, but it served the ambassadors for the United Nations, their kids, and State Department kids. And I would meet the wife of President Anwar Sadat of Egypt when I was 9 years old. And that encounter changed my life. I got to sing with John Denver that day and then listen to her speak about peace. And I knew when I heard her speak that I wanted to be a peacemaker. And in fact, my name Erin means peace anyway. But she would tell me that day, you're going to change the world. And I believed her because she was the president's wife. I believed her, and that changed my destiny. Now, it didn't mean the rest of my life was easy, but I knew then that I needed to do things that mattered.
Wow. So never knew that you were adopted. And I feel bad because like our families known each other forever and had no idea. I guess maybe, wow. Maybe I just thought those are cool people you were standing next to in pictures. I just didn't realize. Yes, awesome. Julie says you have a beautiful story. Julie is out in California. Thank you for that. Wow. That's amazing. And I'm so grateful that they saw fit to choose you. Right.
Yeah.
And set you up for greatness, because clearly you have a call. I mean, the impact is just immense. And I'm so grateful for that. And I'm curious to know, did you ever have any challenges, like identity wise, especially when you found out about, of course your hair looks different than mom and you're, all these things, you're just like, wait a minute, something isn't matching up. Like, did you have any challenges with that? If you could share that.
Yeah, I mean, so the biggest challenge was actually not in Europe. So I didn't have challenges. In fact, no one ever asked. So I went to school there from kindergarten to 12th grade, and nobody ever asked, why are your parents white and you're black? Nope, not one person asked. I was the poor kid, kind of the poor kid in a very rich school. And that was
Mm,
the distinction for me, not so much being Black, but not having money to buy nice clothes and all of that stuff. But I was also one of the hardest working kids. I mean, I've been a hard worker since I was little. And so I graduated top of my class. I was a top athlete in 3 sports. And so I found a way to distinguish myself, even though I didn't have money. I found ways to rise above all of that. And I think I knew as a little girl that having money wasn't everything.
mm,
I knew that I could be as smart as other people, even if I wasn't born into wealth, even if I had been abandoned at birth. You know, here's the other distinction. My parents didn't love me like I was their adopted kid. They loved me like I was their kid.
mm.
And they have always loved me that way.
So good.
And so I never had questions about where I belonged exactly. It wasn't until I came back to the States for college at 18, then I had lots of questions because suddenly I was Black girl. So in Europe, I was Erin first. In Europe, I was
Wow.
Erin first. I came to
Wow.
America, I was Black and then female, and then maybe Erin.
Wow. And what's so deep about that is, we're supposed to be the land of the free and opportunity, but there's so many boxes that are put in.
Yeah.
It's a very limited scope. So it's like, yeah, it's the land of the free, depending on your demographic, depending on this. And I think that's where we get, a matter of fact, I think I was in a show a while back where we talked about why do we feel obligated to identify what we are before what we are, right?
Yes.
So for example, whether it's like, hey, I'm a model, no, but I'm a plus size model. Like I have to kind of like justify being a model, or I'm
Yes.
not just a
Qualify.
mom, I'm a single mom. I gotta like say I'm a single mom to do how some kind of adjustment, right? Or whatever the case may be, or if it's like I'm a woman, I'm a powerful woman, or I'm Erin. Nope, you're Black
Yeah.
and you're a woman, and then you're Erin. Like that's just so deep. And I think oftentimes we do that because we're trying to justify our place in the
In
world.
the
And I
world.
really believe that just your mere existence has begun and has been doing for a while, shattering that whole thing. So that actually is a good segue. Into kind of my next question. Now, I know you said you kind of always knew you were going to make a difference, but
Mhm.
at what point, you have a vast background in teaching. So bless your heart, because I would never want to teach other people's kids. Um, that is not my calling. Yes, Alicia, I love that. Alicia said you were a chosen
Oh,
gift. All
absolutely.
love. I love that. And
Absolutely.
that's, it's interesting because most of us are born to our parents, right? And they didn't get a choice. They did not get a pick of the litter, right? Like you just whatever we made is what
I
we got.
got chosen.
Yes, and you were actually selected. It's like a
Yeah.
triple selection, right? It's kind of like
Yeah.
God chose you. Then
Hmm.
your parents chose you. And then
Yeah.
this thing called life, your purpose has chosen you. And that is just like choosing you on a whole deep level that I don't know if I even have time to do. So that's so, so powerful. But I wanted to know at what point because I see that, yes, you were in teaching and all that kind of stuff. But at some point you said, I actually want to be a little bit more of a direct agent of change. Like it'd be cute to like teach in a classroom and do all that stuff. But now I think I want to actually cause some ripples here. So when did you decide to kind of go from that like little, I guess that pathway of traditional success to I want to make some ripples here and choose Erin and actually operate in my purpose?
So I want to back up a little bit. So, because I think somebody may need to hear this. So I
Mm,
came to America with the intention of getting a law degree and going back to Europe and working at the United Nations. That was how I saw purpose. That was how I saw world changer. My parents had been teaching my whole life, but I didn't see them as world changers, even though my parents have taught people who now work in governments across the world. So my parents literally are world changers, but I saw them as just teachers.
right.
And so I came to America never wanting to teach. I didn't at all have I'm not going to be like my parents. They work too hard. They don't get paid enough. Like I'm not doing that. Um, and I almost committed suicide my freshman year because
Mm,
being Black in this country was so traumatic, and every day it was pointed out, you are not enough. You're not enough. You're not Black enough. You're not white enough. You're just not enough. And I almost
mm,
committed suicide my freshman year. Basketball
mm,
was the thing that kind of kept me going. But when basketball season was over, and I know you and I kind of re-met again on a basketball court, but
yeah.
my freshman year of college, we did not lose one game. And I played every minute of every game as a freshman. I averaged, I think, 20 points a game my freshman year. Like I killed it freshman year. But when the season was over, nobody checked on me. So I'm in America by myself, and
Mm.
the season is done, and now you don't need me anymore.
Right.
And not one person checked on me. And I stopped going to class, and I stopped eating, and I stopped believing that I could be a change agent. I felt like a mistake. And one day in April, which is kind of ironic that we're getting close to that point in time now, the first weekend in April of 1990, I felt like this thing inside me said, start walking. And I know now it was God, but I didn't know then what that
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
And I just started walking, and I ended up 3 towns outside of my college town. And there was a basketball court in the middle of this little community of all Black people. So it was where the help lived that worked in the big mansions of the white people in my
Mm.
college town. And a guy that you will know, Dr. J, was playing basketball that
Ah,
day.
yeah.
And he called out to me and said, "Girl, we need one more. We got 9. We need one more to play 5-on-5." And I had no idea who he was because, unlike you, I did not grow up in America. Unlike you, I didn't have a daddy who followed the NBA. So I had no idea who this man was. I just knew he was really tall and obviously like really good. I had no idea who this man was. And
That's
we
hilarious.
we would play all day. He and his boys were out, and we played all day. And they went home, and I'm sitting on the sidelines with 3 high school age Black boys, and they are like, "Where are you from? Because you don't talk like us." And I said, "I'm from the Netherlands." And they were like, "What? What?" And I said, "The Netherlands, y'all. You don't know where that is?" They're like, "What is it? What is it? Not even where is it? What is it?" And I knew in that moment, like, y'all are not getting educated. And I said to these boys, "Where do you go to school?" And they said, "We stopped going to school a long time ago. Nobody cares about us."
Mm.
And that was the moment God spoke to me. And I knew immediately on the side of that basketball court what my purpose was. I
Mm.
knew in that moment I had been birthed out of the body of a white woman, abandoned in a hospital, adopted by white teachers, raised in a country that believed in me and trained me up to do great things, brought back to America for a reason. And I knew in that moment I was built to be a bridge, and I was meant to be a champion for kids. And I did
Wow.
go into teaching right away. But I knew eventually, I never had any intention of going into administration or running for office. But here's what I believe, and I think someone needs to hear this. I believe if you are your best self right where you are, doors will open to the next thing. And then be your best
Yes.
self where you are. And then doors will open to the next. And that is my story. I never had any intention of going into leadership. I ended up winning this Teacher of the Year award, and that opens the door for me to go from teaching to assistant state superintendent. And then I do the best I can there, and that opens the door, and people start telling me you should run for state superintendent. And so I become the first Black woman in the state of Washington ever to this day to run for any state office. And I lost that election by 1 point. But guess what? That loss opened the door to what I do now,
Yes.
which is
Yes.
the greatest gift that I could not have even asked for because I didn't know it existed.
That okay, so I have chills and everyone is like really this is resonating with everybody watching. I literally have chills right now. Usually I'm hot underneath this light and I'm like, "Oh my gosh. That's so wow, Erin, and getting to kind of know you on this level is actually very, very cool. And it humanizes you. And when people think that they come from such a unfortunate situation and they're like, well, I can't because of this, because of that, because of this, because of that. You're like, actually, this qualifies me to do this and this and this, you know? And I would always say that like the things you think disqualify you are actually what sets you apart, right? That actually what set you up for greatness. And I want to talk about this Champion of Change Award. Okay. So
Yeah.
this is very cool to be recognized by the White House, not like some, you know, random thing that people can pay for and they get it in the mail and they say they got a president's award. I'm talking like this is actually this is like a thing. No shade to that, but this is a thing. So can you share with me, I mean, of course, just by listening to you, I can see why you would be a champion of change. But I would love to hear about that and what that experience was like being recognized by, you know, our United States president in that
Yeah.
way.
So here's the amazing thing. Teacher of the Year is an award that you actually have to apply for. I didn't know this. I thought Teacher of the Year was something that like somebody randomly selected you. But when you get a Teacher of the, so all of our Teacher of the Year recipients are people who applied to be Teacher of the Year. So they have to be nominated, but then they apply. The Milken Teacher of the Year award that I received first You can't apply for it. You don't know what's happening until literally the day they surprise you. And so I get that in 2008. Total surprise. They have
Wow.
this school assembly. They call all the teachers down. I have no idea until they start sharing the story of this teacher, this high school teacher who's doing all these things. And it comes with a $25,000 check. $25,000 check that you can spend however you want. And we ended up using
Boy,
it to
maybe I
put
should
my
go into
husband.
teaching.
But we ended up
Forget the
using
stimulus. I need a teacher
exactly.
award
There we
check.
go.
Okay.
There we go. Yes. But we ended up using that to help pay for my husband to go from being a pastor to being a teacher. So now he and I both are teaching. So I leave there. I get recruited to work for the state superintendent. I do that for 4 years on cabinet. I sit on cabinet. And then I get recruited to another school district. And one day I get a call from the White House. And one of the people who'd been
Wow.
watching me for 4 years at the state superintendent's office nominated. So much like the Milken Award, I got nominated without knowing about it at all until literally 4 days before I was supposed to go to the White House. I get a call from the White House and they say, you have been nominated and received this award. Can you get to Washington, D.C.? The president would like to give you
Oh
an
my
award.
God. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. Crazy.
You know, I just, again, thinking about your inception and just how God was like, okay, that's what okay, cool. I'm about to order all of these steps. And I love that. And I think sometimes people feel like they have to have like this kind of dark story that trends from something like that. And I love that you kind of just always been like a light, like, you know what, like the cup is, half full, right? And that is just so tremendously amazing. And I'm just going to say this, while it may not resonate with a lot of people, but I know that like my dad would be like, oh my gosh, Erin, like for real, like you already know what he would be saying. Like that's just so amazing. And for anyone who's watching, my dad was an influence on her and her husband, and just had a really big impact in their life. And so I just think that is just absolutely amazing, not even knowing your story. So my next, you've shared all these, powerful things. And obviously they say that there's a quote that says kind of like with great responsibility comes great, or no, with great presence or something comes great responsibility. And
Yeah.
so there's a juggling of that, right? The
Yeah.
weight of people, the weight
Yeah.
of these different roles, and even being a wife and all these things. And so when you are managing that, because you just have this brightness and lightness afoot about you, right? How do you manage that? And when you do face the challenges of that, what do you do?
So, I really believe that everyone has privilege in a way. So I know that having grown up in Europe in a private school, like I speak 4 languages, I've traveled to 14 countries.
Of course
I've
you
met
do.
not just one president's wife, but this is the expectation at my private school. The expectation was speak at least 3. So
Wow.
I speak 4. Like we'll take whatever everyone else is doing, and we're
Yeah.
gonna go up a notch. But I believe that with that, I have a responsibility now to use that for other people's benefit. So I believe God doesn't. It's not by accident that I was put in those positions, and so now I have a responsibility to give back. My mom, who is watching, and my dad loved me well. And so I have a responsibility to love well and respond. And
That's so
so
good.
that is always how I've seen my life is how do I give out of what I have? I have a
Mm.
responsibility to give much because I've been given much. And even though
Wow.
life has not always been easy, I'm a consultant. And when the pandemic hit, I lost all of my work for 3 months. What God said to me is, Erin, what's in your hand? I've given you something in your hand. And I remember very clearly knowing, okay, he gave me 20,000 followers on social media and a love for teaching. And I just went online. I gave what was in my hand for 83 days in a row. I gave it away for free. I did a class for little babies, like little kids. I read out loud in all 4 languages. And I taught a
What
class
are the
on
four
racial
languages? I'm
equity:
curious.
English, Dutch, French, and Spanish.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's so good. Well, a lot of people were kind of commiserating during the pandemic. You're like, how can I give? Wow. That's
And
so powerful.
And here's the gift. I'm gonna give y'all another this lesson because I'm a teacher. When we hold on to that little bit that we have, we also cannot receive. And our
Mm.
natural tendency is to hold on to that little bit that we have. And what God said to me is, Erin, open your hands. Open your hands. Oh, thank you. One of my people's here, and it was amazing. Thank you. Yay, yay, yay. And I just give away. And here's the cool thing that happened. I built this amazing community online that I had no intention of building, that God built this amazing community. And then July, when all the racial stuff happened, who did people call when they needed help thinking about racial equity? The lady who'd been online every day. And so I have an average of 4 events a day since July 1st. Last week and this week, I've had 7 events every day. I have made triple the amount of money that I lost during the 3 months that I had no work. And then I've been able to give back and sow into young people. I've been able to help some friends pay their bills because they couldn't go back to work. A couple of my friends got COVID and didn't have health insurance and they weren't able to be compensated financially for the days they had to take off. And so I was able to help them pay their bills. And again, so if you open your hands, you can give and you can also receive back. And that's something that I've learned over the last year now.
That is so good. Now, wow. Whew. I love it. So, and I think what the takeaway I have from that is, people that are watching, oftentimes we think that giving does have to be monetary or does have to be these things. And it could just be what the divine has planted inside of you, right?
Mm-hmm.
That could literally be the root keeping people off the ledge, like through a pandemic or whatever the case may be. And so now I kind of like to close with this question. I'm excited to hear what you say to this, especially based on what you've shared with me already, is, there's people that are watching, there's people that will watch in the future that are at a crossroads, right?
Yeah.
Of whether they're going to continue kind of their path of pain or living in that narrative that the enemy thought was going to paint the picture, right? But then they also have an opportunity to choose them. And with choosing them, right, is operating in their purpose, getting the healing that they need, actually beginning to embrace what God ordained them to be. So if you saw someone at that crossroads or someone's watching today, what would you say to them to encourage them to go, not to say what's familiar, the path of pain, but moving towards choosing themselves?
So we need to always choose ourselves, and that's not selfish. And you and I both grew up in the church, and your dad was a pastor, my husband is a pastor. And I think a lot of times Christians are taught that taking care of yourself is selfish. And I would say, just going to the Bible, it says, love your neighbor as you love yourself. You have to love yourself first.
Yes.
You can't love your neighbor if you don't love yourself. And so it's actually not selfish to take care of yourself. And so I would say to anyone who's on the edge, who feels like you're not enough, I'm telling you today, you are more than enough, actually.
Yes.
You are absolutely worthy. And you deserve to take care of yourself first. And you have to do that. You absolutely have to do that. You cannot. So if you're out there and you're a mom with kids, one of the reasons I played basketball until I was 45 and now I run, I didn't stop that when I had kids. I continued because I needed my children to see me taking care of me. My children needed to see that as an example. And so I would say to all the moms out there, one of the worst things we can do is stop doing all the things we love, because that's what feeds our soul. It feeds our soul. And so you absolutely deserve it. If you love to sing, sing. If you love to draw, draw. If you love to sew, sew. Do the thing that gives you peace and joy. And people watching will be blessed by your taking care of yourself. And so I would say, if you're in a place of pain, the best way to get out of it is, first of all, look at what's in your hand. There's always, God never leaves you with nothing in your hand. It may be a little tiny thing, but look at what's in your hand and be grateful for that thing that's in your hands, and then give it away. And then you need to take care of yourself. So my rule for myself is every day, spirit, mind, and body. I do something spirit, mind, and body every single day. Super important, because I have to give so much with 7 events a day. I am giving of myself all the time. I have to give to me first. Super important that I give to me first, so that I have something to give out of.
That is so powerful, you guys. So that, that takeaway of, you have something to give, even when you feel like you don't have anything. That's so powerful, that God doesn't leave us with nothing. And it's funny you're celebrating the April, but for me, 2 days from now will be the beginning, the 3-year anniversary of me choosing myself. when I was standing on that pier in Tacoma and did not want to do this thing called life. And my dad came from heaven and said, honey, if you kill yourself, you're not going to be with me in heaven. You're going to go to hell.
Mm.
Oh, crap. So now I got to figure out how to do this thing called life. And that
Mm.
was the beginning, you know, of my journey. But that was like that little something, right, that God left with
Yeah.
me, gave me enough to say, to choose Tasha and say, okay, somebody thinks I'm worth it, even if it's not me right now, you know, to take those steps. So I just, you know, want to say thank you so much, Erin. This actually was totally different than I expected it to be. Like, you're amazing. I mean, I always knew that you were amazing, and I loved you because you totally cheered me on when I had my 20-year comeback to basketball. Because unlike you, I stopped playing after I had kids, and so I was just like literally kind of like the little engine that could out there, and you just. Chugga, you know. Woo, shout out to Coach Reese anyway,
Love Coach Reese.
you know, playing with 20-year-olds, it was a trip, but I still was just beautiful to, you know, see you operating your purpose, and you would, you know, never know that that's your story, but at the same time, it's exciting that it is, because it just shows how good the divine is and how good you know, how you have taken that little something, right, and have done well with your talents, right? You haven't just buried them. You said, no, I'm going to do something with them. Now, how can people be involved in your online community? I don't know if you recorded the 83 days or whatever the case may be, but how can people find you, Miss Erin Jones, and be able to glean from just you sharing what God has put inside you to share with the world?
So I'm here on Instagram at Erin in 2016. I'm also on Facebook. Do not try to friend me on Facebook because I ran for office. I have 5,000 friends. You can't friend me, but you can like my page.
I made it in before that.
I know you made it in. You made it in.
I mean, I might have been 4,999, but I made it.
But I have two Facebook pages, Erin Jones 2016 and then Erin Jones LLC. And I'm also on Twitter at Erin Jones in 2016. And I'm also writing a book right now. So you will be able to get a copy of my book August 1st, my first full, I've written books with people, but my first book that I have solo written will be out on August 1st. And it's about talking about race. We don't have a title yet. Okay. I'm holding on to that. I think I have the title, but I'm not positive yet. But it is about talking about race and why we as a country have to talk about this thing called race if we hope to create community. So that's what the book is about.
I love it, Erin, 2016. So I think that's amazing. And, you know, you guys who have been watching, the weekly Tuesday show of Choose You. Again, that show that hopefully inspires you to your life's crescendo, showing how to choose you every day, every step of the way. Today we had Erin Jones, just an amazing powerhouse out here in the Northwest and nationally, being recognized by the President of the United States for her champion for change. So definitely check her out on all of her links that she said earlier. Now, next Tuesday, same time, we will have Forbes nominated and listed as one of the most influential women in the plus size community. Her name is Shanice Lewis. I cannot wait for the interview with her. I've known her for many, many years, but she has shattered walls and ceilings for women of size all across the globe. So you guys get ready for that and hearing how she chooses herself. So again, I am signing off. Thank you again for watching Choose You. And remember, it's never too late to choose you, change your path, and walk in your purpose. Bye, Erin. Thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.